So how does a new faith, born in the deserts of the Arabian Peninsula, explode into a global empire and become one of the world's great religions? It's an incredible story, really. It's about revelation, conquest, and innovation, and it continues to shape our world today. Let's dive into the rise of Islam.
And really, it all boils down to this one big question. How can one person's spiritual experience in the middle of the desert light a fire that goes on to reshape empires, redefine science, and create a culture that influences billions of people for centuries? It's pretty mind-blowing when you think about it.
Our story kicks off right here on the Arabian Peninsula, and you gotta understand its location is everything. This was not some isolated backwater. It was a strategic hub, a literal crossroads where Africa, Europe, and Asia all came together. For thousands of years, this was a place where trade routes, big ideas, and empires collided, creating this really dynamic environment, just perfect for something new and powerful to emerge.
So, it's right here, in this bustling crossroads, specifically the city of Mecca, that our story really gets going. And it doesn't start with an army or a king. Nope, it starts with one person.
Okay, so let's talk about the journey of Muhammad. He was born around 570 CE, and he grew up to be a trader in Mecca, which was already a big deal, a center for both commerce and worship. But then, when he was about 40 years old, something happened that changed his life and the world forever. He believed he received a revelation from the angel Gabriel, who delivered a powerful message. He was to be the final prophet of the one true God, known in Arabic as Allah.
And that core message, it's baked right into the name of the faith itself. The word Islam literally means submission to the will of Allah. And a follower, a Muslim, is one who has submitted. This idea, this complete devotion to the will of one God, is the bedrock of the entire faith.
So all those revelations Muhammad received, they weren't just spoken and forgotten. They were carefully remembered and written down, compiled into what we now know as the Quran, the sacred text of Islam. For Muslims, this isn't just a holy book. It's considered the actual, literal word of God. It's the ultimate guide for everything: faith, morality, and law.
Okay, so what does it actually look like to be one who has submitted in daily life? Well, the answer is built around 5 fundamental duties. Think of them as pillars that support the whole structure, uniting all Muslims in their practice and their beliefs.
And here they are, the 5 pillars of Islam. It all starts with faith, a simple but powerful declaration of belief. Then that belief is put into practice through prayer, 5 times every single day, facing the holy city of Mecca. Alms, or charity, makes taking care of the community a core part of the faith. Fasting, during the holy month of Ramadan, is a time for discipline and spiritual reflection. And finally, the pilgrimage, or Hajj, this incredible journey to Mecca that every able Muslim hopes to make at least once in their life. But, after Muhammad's death, this new and unified community faced its first huge test. And what came next was a period of both explosive, incredible growth and a deep, painful division that would last for centuries.
You see, the problem was, when Muhammad died in 632, he hadn't actually named a successor. The community was at a crossroads. Who would lead them now? In that moment of uncertainty, they chose to elect Muhammad's close friend and father-in-law, Abu Bakr. He became the very first caliph, a title that basically means successor or deputy, the leader of the whole community.
And what happened next was just astonishing. Under the first few caliphs, the Islamic empire expanded with incredible speed. We're talking just a few decades, and its territory stretched from the borders of India, swept across the Middle East and North Africa, and pushed all the way into Spain. It helped that the 2 big neighboring empires, the Byzantine and Sasanian, were exhausted from fighting each other, leaving a massive power vacuum.
But that original question about who should lead, it never really went away, and it eventually led to a fundamental split in the faith. On one side, you have the Shia. They believed leadership should have stayed within Muhammad's family, arguing that his son-in-law, Ali, was the rightful heir. On the other side, you have the Sunni. They believed the leader could be any devout Muslim who followed the Prophet's example, and so they supported the community's choice of Abu Bakr.
And that disagreement from way back in the 7th century, it's not just ancient history. You can literally see its legacy drawn on the map of our world today. This map shows the distribution of Sunni and Shia Muslims, and it makes it so clear how that ancient division continues to shape global politics, culture, and identity right now.
But here's the amazing part. Even with this deep division brewing, the unified empire launched into a period of unbelievable prosperity and intellectual achievement that we now call the Islamic Golden Age.
The empire's location was its economic superpower. It controlled two of the most important sea trading routes in the world, the Mediterranean and the Indian Ocean. It connected the legendary Silk Roads of Asia with Europe and Africa, putting it at the center of everything. To make all this trade work, they set up banks across the empire, a really advanced financial idea, which in turn helped build these huge, luxurious, and modern cities.
All that money fueled an absolute explosion of knowledge. Muslim scholars didn't just hang on to ancient texts from places like Greece and India. No, they built on them, big time. They were pioneers of the scientific method, running experiments in labs. They gave us the entire field of algebra. They made massive leaps in astronomy. And you had explorers like Ibn Battuta, who traveled farther than almost anyone in his time, documenting the whole thing.
Okay, now this is cool. This is the perfect example of how everything came together: faith, science, and art. It's an astrolabe, a complex device perfected by Muslim astronomers. It could tell you the time, chart the stars, but for a faithful Muslim, it did something absolutely vital. It told you the exact direction of Mecca, so you could pray no matter where you were in the world. It's a scientific tool, a work of art, and an object of faith, all in one.
But to really get the full story, we have to pull back for a second and remember that Islam didn't just appear out of nowhere. It actually grew from the same ancient monotheistic soil as two other major world religions, Judaism and Christianity.
And when you look at them side by side, the connections are just crystal clear. All three are known as Abrahamic faiths. They trace their spiritual history back to the prophet Abraham. They are all fiercely monotheistic, believing in one God. And because they each have a holy book that they revere, they all share a special name in Islamic tradition, the people of the book.
So what you're seeing here are symbols of distinct faiths for sure, but they all share this deep, common heritage. They're different branches, yes, but they all grow from the same ancient tree. They have intertwined histories, shared prophets, and a core belief in a single, all-powerful creator, a connection that has shaped the world for thousands of years.
Which brings us to one final thought. We've seen a story that goes from a single revelation to a global civilization. It's a story of shared roots and deep divisions, of huge conflict and incredible achievement. So, given all that intertwined history, what can these three great faiths teach us about our own complex, interconnected world today?